the remote starting point, the very genesis of our art. Outdoor grilling, barbecuing, cooking food over an open fire. The practice is as old as fire itself. Since prehistoric times, human beings have thrown a piece of meat on the barbie and devoured the results with gusto. People have sat around and drunk beer and sat in chairs like this. You know, the oven and the pot and the pan, they're all relative newcomers to the scene, but with their arrival, we have been drawn away from our roots and into the rarefied air of haute cuisine, which is fine. I'm personally all in favor of it. But you gotta admit that there is something irresistibly satisfying about cooking over an open fire and eating outdoors. Testament to this is the appearance every summer of millions of American men in their backyards, in their shorts, with their bottles of beer, bending over their grills, nursing their colds and their cold beers, as they get ready for one of the few times in their lives to make dinner for family and friends. So what if the steak gets burnt and if it's raw inside? Everyone has a great time and is too concerned about the kids falling in the swimming pool to be upset by a less than ideal culinary experience. But wait! You knew this was coming, didn't you? Wait, I say, let's have our cake and eat it too. Let's grill outdoors and have it be fun, but let's also have it taste wonderful. And it's really not that difficult to do. The difference between doing it well and not doing it well is great in terms of the results, but not great in terms of the practice. There are just a few things that you have to be aware of, and the improvement in your results will astonish you. So let's go over some basics. Now, despite the fact that I'd like to be outside with a bottle of beer, I'm actually in a studio here. And the fire department might not look too kindly upon open flames on the 31st floor of this building. So I am not going to be able to show you any live coals. But there's lots of things that I can tell you and show you about cooking over live coals. We'll just pretend. Let's use our imaginations, shall we? And let's start with the grill. There are a few basic types of grill to choose from, but the grill you use makes so much difference you wouldn't believe it. Now, I guess the most popular type is the kettle grill. This thing with a top. And of course the famous one is the Weber. There's a Weber grill right there. Now, I know that most of you probably have Webers, and the thing is very good for smoking, and it's very good for long cooking, but it has some basic flaws. It's made for covered cooking. That's why they give you that cover. You're supposed to use the cover. But take a look in here. Look into my Weber. And you can see that way down there, let me see if I can poke something in here. Watch, I'm going to poke this fork in here. Look how far down we're going. Down, 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 not down to the bottom yet. Way down there is where the fire sits. The fire is very far from the grill. That means that the food is not very close to it, and that's the whole idea. The food is not supposed to be close to it on the Weber. You're supposed to cover it and create an oven-like environment inside the dome. That's great for long cooking, but it's not great for the type of cooking that I usually do. I want to take a steak and sear it quickly over the hot flames and have it be very close to the flames. This is not great for that kind of short charring. Of course, if you could adjust the height of the grill, it would be great. Control is always what you want, but one of the problems with the Weber is that this thing sits on here and you cannot adjust it at all. You cannot adjust this grate. It's one height only. Let's take a look at another problem grill. Come with me here in my backyard to my gas grill. Well, you can't adjust the rack on this one either. So that's problem number one for me. But there's an even bigger problem with the gas grill, and that is the kind of fuel that's used. It's gas fuel that makes a little gas propane fire that heats up these lava rocks, which were brought back by Buzz Aldrin. I don't like the idea of cooking over these lava rocks. It's kind of like having a fire in your fireplace at Christmas time and using Yule logs. I'd rather have real wood and have a real fire. This kind of thing takes away the mystery and the primitivism of the experience, and with it, part of the fun. Then, back down to the mundane level of the technical, there's a technical problem. This gas fire does not burn as hot as a real fire. I'll show you a real fire in a few moments. Believe it or not, I rather like this dinky little thing. It costs like $15.99, but it's on the road to ideal. And the reason is that you can move the rack. This is the hibachi. Look, I can put the rack in here, and I can put the rack in here, And I can keep changing its distance from the coals. I like that because sometimes, you want to cook food or get it really close to the fire, get it really charred on the outside, then it's getting a little too charred, you want to move it away. You want an adjustable rack. Unfortunately, the thing is a little bit small, admittedly, and it's a little rinky-dinky, and size and sturdiness do count, especially if you're cooking for a gang. So I think you'd probably be happier with my ideal dream grill. Ta-da! Now, peer inside my grill and see what lies inside. Aha! Finally, the adjustable rack. Watch this. I'm furthest from the heat right now, and it's really neat. On the thing it says warm. And then where it says medium, I get my rack closer to the grill. And then where it says hot, I get my rack closer to the grill still, to the fire still. That's what you want. Then you're cooking. Then you've got control. I mean, would you consider having an oven, having a range that has only, like one heat on it? No. You want to be able to move further away and closer to. Now, the next thing that you've got to know about is fuel. And I'm sure that you are familiar with these guys. These are charcoal briquettes. Perfect little pillows of charcoal. It's what most people use, I suppose. Guess what? I don't like them. Did you know that Henry Ford invented them as a byproduct of the auto industry? He was looking for a way to make a profit from the wood that was left over from making Model T Fords. The charcoal briquette, true, is partially charcoal. Do you know what charcoal is, by the way? Charcoal is wood that has been burned in the absence of oxygen. It's been smoldered. If you took a piece of wood and you burned it out in the open air, it would just crumble. It would become ashes. But when you deprive it of oxygen, it burns into something that still has texture, and that's what charcoal is. Now this thing is charcoal compressed into briquettes along with other things in it. Starch binders, ground coal, industrial waste probably, who knows. But basically it's not all charcoal, so they don't burn very hot. And what I really don't like are the most convenient ones, which are called self-starting, matchlight. They're also impregnated with chemicals like sodium nitrite, which give off oxygen and get the briquettes going sooner. They also tend to lend a dubious and unwelcome taste to the food. I don't like them. The best fuel, in my opinion, there's no question. There's no question. Hardwood charcoal. See this? Old-time charcoal, all natural since 1939. 100% real charcoal, not briquettes. No fillers or additives, twice the burning power, made only from renewable natural resources. See all that stuff right there? Right there in black and white. And here it says, real food deserves real charcoal. And that's what I believe also. This is a hard wood that has been burned in the absence of oxygen, smoldered, and now you get a chunk like this that's a great piece of charcoal. People use all kinds of wood to make charcoal, oak, hickory, mesquite, fruit wood, but as we say, like the briquettes, nothing's added and they're not reformed, reshaped. This charcoal burns hotter than briquettes, and when you're cooking meat, the hotter the better because you get a quicker and more complete sear on it. And it's also good if you can adjust your grill near that hot fire. The searing is what creates that great grilled flavor. In addition to a good sear, the flavor is affected, albeit to a lesser extent, by the kind of wood the charcoal is made from. Now, this hardwood charcoal that I showed you 5 years ago was almost impossible to find. It's becoming more and more available. So why don't you try out a few kinds and see which one imparts the flavor that you like best. Me, I kind of go for mesquite. You know, the fantasy of the open range and all that. We're all still little boys and cowboys at heart. And this way, you get to play with fire and play cowboy at the same time. But there's a good practical reason. Mesquite charcoal happens to be the hottest burning of the hardwood charcoals. So that's why it became very popular. It's not that it really has a special flavor, it's just that it burns very hot. Then